That's more like it. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Trinadapi Sunichena Torad Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalau Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyatha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All glories to my students of Bhagavad Gita. May Krishna bless you, protect you, and maintain you. Today, we are beginning a new chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, which is entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Those three modes are known as Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And throughout the remaining chapters of Bhagavad Gita, this subject matter of the three modes of material nature will be revisited, especially in chapters 17 and 18. A majority of those shlokas will also deal with the three modes of nature. So let us begin. Please recite along with me where you are with me. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. All embodied souls are under the control of the three modes or qualities of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Lord Krishna explains what these modes are, how they act upon us, how one transcends them, and the symptoms of one who has attained the transcendental state. Sri Bhagavanubhacha Parang Bhuya Pravaksyami Jnananang Jnanam Uttamam Yajgyatva Munayak Sarve Parang Siddhim Itogata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." So the supreme perfection is to be reinstated in one's constitutional position of eternal service to Krishna. Every one of us has an eternal relationship of service with Krishna. Right now, because we are conditioned by this material body and the modes of nature, we have forgotten what our eternal relationship of service to Krishna is. But by practicing Bhagavad Gita, gradually your original position of service to Krishna will be revealed to you. That is the supreme perfection, and that is the ultimate phase of moksha, or liberation. There are 5 different kinds of liberation, but Lord Chaitanya teaches actually there is something superior to moksha, superior to liberation. And what is that? To be reinstated in your loving constitutional position of service to God. Let's go to the next verse. Idang jnanam upasritya mama sadharmyam agata sarge pi nopajayante pralaye navyatanti cha. Notice in Prabhupada's Gita, he gives you the actual Devanagari for those who are trained in such. Then he gives you, for most people, the Roman transliteration. And he also gives you the synonym of each word. Prabhupada specifically did that because he wanted to make his Bhagavad Gita scholarly. But for our purposes, we don't have the time to do such detailed study because our fearless leader wants us to quickly go through Bhagavad Gita. And I agreed to that proposal. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. So what is Krishna's transcendental nature? That has been revealed already several times. Sat Chit Ananda. Material existence is not eternal, not full of knowledge, and certainly not blissful. Anyone who has lived a few years in this material world knows very well this body is not blissful, especially when you get sick. This body is not eternal. We see that every day as we get older. And this body is not full of knowledge, it is full of ignorance. So Krishna's form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. And so is the soul. The soul by constitution, but not when it is embodied. When the soul is embodied, it loses its transcendental nature. And the whole process of Bhagavad Gita is to become free from the bodily designation. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution, because if you are reinstated in your constitutional position, you are liberated and you are no longer a part of this material world. Text 3. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadam yaham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living entities, O son of Bharata. So here we are taking a look at or explaining the function of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is an expansion of Krishna who creates the material cosmic manifestation. So what happens is that when there is again a need for the material manifestation, Mahavishnu glances at the Durga, and by that glance, all the conditioned souls who remained in the body of Mahavishnu during his inhalation, who were resting for thousands of years, then come out and enter the womb of material nature, Durga Devi. That glance of Mahavishnu is actually Shambhu, Lord Shiva, and he actually does the impregnation, because Lord Mahavishnu does not directly touch the material energy. The actual impregnation is done by Shambhu, the glance of Lord Mahavishnu. And that glance, all the conditioned souls are then injected in the womb of material nature, and then they come out in various material forms. Let's continue. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir ahang bija pradapita. That's the most important line. Ahang bija pradapita. Let's look at the Sanskrit word for word. Aham, I, Krishna is speaking. Bija prada, seed giving. Pitta, father. In all religions, they have this conception of God as the Father. And that is certainly in Bhagavad Gita by this line. Krishna is saying, Aham, I am the seed-giving Father, meaning all living entities, all souls come from Krishna. They don't come from anywhere else. Therefore, this phrase, child of God, son of God, is applicable to all living entities. When we go to the next chapter, chapter 15, Krishna will again repeat this. He will say that all living entities are my angsha. They are my part and parcels. Just like Ajit here. He is part and parcel of his parents. So we, the soul, the actual you, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Just as the man impregnates the woman with the semen, right? And the soul takes shelter of the semen and is injected into the womb of the woman, and then she's able to give birth. The woman cannot give birth independently. She needs the man to plant the seed. So in the same way, material nature is feminine. It needs the man to impregnate, as I've already said. That is Lord Shiva. But the souls themselves, where did they come from? They did not come from Lord Shiva. He is not the seed-giving Father. He is just the agency. The actual souls, because they're eternal, they come from Krishna. So this line, Ahang Bija Pradapita, is very important to understand. We all come from Krishna, not anywhere else. So let's see what the translation. It should be understood that all species of life, so there are 8,400,000 species of life, referring to the material body. So many are aquatic, so many are animal. There's only 400,000 human species. And of those 400,000, a small number are considered civilized. O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. So we come from Krishna. Please understand that. We come from God. We are all God's children. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibidnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Notice the word dehe, in this body. So we are a soul. That's why the next word, dehinam, the living entity in the body. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Very easy to understand. Just like anyone who comes in contact with this coronavirus gets infected, becomes conditioned. So these three modes of nature are the same way. As soon as you enter the material world, you become infected by these modes of nature to lesser or greater degrees. Yes, there are so many kinds of living entities and so many kinds of human beings, but all of us are affected by these modes of nature to a lesser or greater degree. It's all a question of what mode of nature you are going to associate with. That is your choice. You can choose what mode of nature to associate with. Tatra satvang nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Of course, this is material happiness and material knowledge, because it's still a material mode, the mode of goodness, the best of all the modes. But still, it's conditioning and it's material. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tad nibidnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. So here you can see when you will become influenced by the mode of passion. Unlimited material desires and longings, not spiritual. Unlimited material desires. That is how you become infected with the mode of passion. And as it says here, bound to material fruitive actions. Because we are not like Krishna. Krishna can simply think of something and it materializes. We don't have that power. If we want something, we have to work it. I want a samosa. I cannot just say, samosa, and it appears. Don't work that way. I have to get the ingredients, cook it, offer it, then I can enjoy. But Krishna can simply think, I want this, bam, Radharani prepares it for Krishna. That's the difference. You want something in the material world? Mode of passion. Work for it. Next verse. Tamastu agyana jangvidi mohanang sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabis tan nibadnati bharata. O son of Bharat, Know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. That's what's happening right now in the Washington, D.C. area. What you're seeing on the news is the mode of ignorance in full display. You know what I'm talking about. That is Tamogun. The results of this mode are indolence and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Next, Sattvam Sukhe Sanjayati Raja Karmani Bharata Jnanam Vritya Tutama Pramade Sanjayuta. O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Again, material happiness. Passion conditions one to fruitive actation, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Again, that's what you're seeing on the television right now across America. You are seeing madness. Rajastamaschabi bhuya sattvang bhavati bharata rajat sattvang tamaschaiva tamat sattvang rajastata. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. The best way to understand is like the waves of the ocean. The waves of the ocean are constantly tossing and turning. So the modes of nature are like waves. For instance, before sunrise and during sunrise, the early morning hours, the mode of goodness is prominent. Then, as we get to 8, 9, 10 o'clock, the mode of passion becomes prominent. Then, upon dusk, the mode of ignorance becomes prominent. That's why, if you leave your spiritual practices for the late evening, you're going to find it very difficult to chant because the modes are working against you. Prabhupada writes, morning is the best time for spiritual activities. That's why it is recommended, rise early, take bath, and you do your spiritual practices in the morning, because the modes of nature are more conducive in the morning hours. The longer you wait as the day goes on, you'll find that doing spiritual activities is a struggle. I know from personal experience. Let us continue. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yadatada vidyad vivriddhang sattvam ityuta. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illumined by knowledge. So the gates, the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the nostrils, the tongue, and the skin. All the, not the skin, the genital and anus, not the skin. The gates, ears, eyes, nose, mouth, the mouth, genital and anus. That is the Navadwara, 9 gates. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Genital and anus, that's the 8 and 9 gates. So when you're in the mode of goodness, all the gates of the body are illumined by knowledge. You're healthy. Lobha pravrittir aramba karmanam ashamaspriha rajasyetani jayante vivridde bharatarshaba. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Again, these are all material, not spiritual. We're talking about material attachment. material fruitive activity, material intense endeavor, uncontrollable material desire, and hankering for material things. That is the mode of passion, not spiritual things. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivridde kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kunti, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. So now you know the symptoms of the modes of nature. Knowing this, now we should act accordingly. Yada sattve pravridde tu pralayang yati dehabrit tadottama vidam lokang amalang pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Yes, above the heavenly planets are the planets of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Lord Brahma's abode Satyaloka. Those are the planets of great saints and sages. So if you die in the mode of goodness, you're not liberated. You still remain in the material world, but you go to the higher regions. Rajasi pralayang gatva karma sangishu jayate tata pralinas tamasi mudha yoni shujayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth amongst those engaged in fruitive activities. Namely, you take birth again as a human being. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Therefore, you become degraded. By acting in the mode of ignorance, you don't get promoted. You go down to the animal kingdom. Karnamana sukritas yahu satvikam nirmalang phalam rajasastu phalang dukam agyanang tamasa phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. Yes, just attending this Bhagavad Gita weekly class is the most pious action. The topmost of all pious actions is attending this weekly class. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery. Why? Because, as we already learned in chapter 2 and chapter 3, by performing activities in the mode of passion, you enjoy initially, but then it turns sour. And action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Again, what you're seeing tonight on the TV coming out of Washington, D.C. Simply foolishness. Satvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moha tamaso bhavato jnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develop foolishness, madness, and delusion. The idea here is by knowing the results, you can, if you know the symptoms, then you can tell how you are. Just like an Ayurvedic doctor takes your pulse, and a good Ayurvedic doctor, by feeling your pulse, can tell you how sick you are. Or if you have a thermometer, the thermometer tells you how high is your fever. So by the symptoms, then you can tell, oh, I'm in the mode of ignorance. Oh, I'm in the mode of passion. Oh, I'm in the mode of goodness. Simply you have to know the symptoms. Urdvam gachanti satvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittista Adho ganchanti tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Nanyang gunebhya kartaram yada drashtanupasyati gunebhyascha parang veti madbhavam sodhigachyati. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and one knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So, study this Bhagavad Gita, and you will come to understand that actually all that's happening in this world is a mixture of these modes of nature. And by studying Bhagavad Gita, you will know the Supreme Lord Krishna, and you will become convinced that he is transcendental to all these modes, even when Krishna descends to this material world. That is very important. We have to understand that when Krishna or his avatar comes to this material world, he's not affected by the modes of nature. To think so is actually blasphemy, because that means one does not understand the position of God. I'll give you an example. The sun is always distinct from everything else that's happening here on earth. The cloud does not actually cover the sun, but when the sky is cloudy, we here on earth cannot see the sun, but the sun itself is beyond the clouds. So it is an illusion. It's only because you are conditioned by the clouds that you cannot see the sun. But once you rise above the clouds, then you can see, oh, the sun is completely separate. So in the same way, Krishna may appear, or one of Krishna's incarnations may appear on this earth, but like the sun, he is always unaffected by these modes of nature. That is very important to understand about God. He is never affected by the modes of nature like you and I are, because he does not have a material body. His body is always spiritual, even when he descends. To think that God descends and then takes on a material body, again, there's no greater blasphemy. When Krishna appeared, when Ram appeared, yes, they had a human-like form. That is true. But that form was transcendental. Otherwise, how Krishna could lift Govardhan Hill at the age of 7? How could Krishna kill Putana when he was 1 month old? That means, although Krishna had a baby form or a childhood form, still that form was transcendental. It was not a material form. Gunan etan atitya trin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukhair vimukto mritam ashnute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these 3 modes associated with the material body, yes, the modes act only on the body, not the soul. The soul is always transcendental. But because we identify with the material body, we go through all these different material experiences. It's only because the soul identifies with the body. But the soul itself is actually not have any contact with the material body. It's only because I identify. So when you're able to transcend, one can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. That is the transcendental position, which will be discussed as we get to the end of this chapter. Arjuna uvacha kairlingais trin gunan etan atito bhavati prabho kim achara katang chaitangs trin gunan ativartate. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior? And how does he transcend the modes? So Arjuna's got three questions here. The last one is the most important. Arjuna said a similar thing in chapter 2. Arjuna asked, what are the symptoms of one who is a transcendental person? And Krishna gave a summary at the end of chapter 2. He gave the symptoms of a self-realized soul. So again, since Krishna just mentioned that if you understand his position as God, and you understand this chapter, then you can transcend the modes of nature. So Arjuna wants to know, so how do I know someone is transcendental? What is their behavior? But this last question is most important. How does he transcend the modes? That question has not been answered yet in this chapter, but we're going to get the answer. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Prakasham cha pravittam cha moham eva cha pandava nadveshti sampravittani na nivrittani kangshati udasina vadasino gunaryo na vichalyate guna vartante ityevang yo vatishtati ningate samaduka sukha svasta samaloštashma kanchana tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya nindatma sangstuti manapamanayos tulyas tulya mitrari pakshayo savaramba parityagi gunatita so ichyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, one who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self, and who regards alike happiness and distress, again, material happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable. Again, these are all on the material plane. Who is steady, situated well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So these are the symptoms. When you see these symptoms, then you know either yourself or someone else has actually transcended the modes of nature. But the next verse is one of the most important verses of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So we're going to go over this next verse very, very carefully, because it answers that third question, how to transcend. Mang chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. There's the line. Bhakti yogena sevate. One of the most important lines in all Bhagavad Gita. Sagunan samati yaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Let's see how Prabhupada translates. One who engages in full devotional service, that is called Bhakti Yoga. Full devotional service. What is devotional service? Using your senses, your present material senses, in the service of Krishna, who is known as Rishikesha, the master of the senses. So when you use your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, hands, legs, throat, voice, when you use all your material senses to serve Krishna, that is called devotional service bhakti yoga. Right now, you're using your ears and your mind to the degree that you are fully absorbed in this class. At this moment, you have transcended the modes of nature because you are engaging right now in devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. In other words, when you are constantly in this state of hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, worshiping, serving, all the 9 different processes, when you're constantly doing that, you are liberated. At once transcends the modes of nature and comes to the level of Brahman. Brahman here means spiritual realization. To be on the same platform as Krishna, who was always situated in Brahman. So this verse is so important. I urge you to memorize this verse, at least this second line, Bhakti Yogena Sevate, always engaged in rendering service, connecting to Krishna in these 9 processes. Shravanam Kirtanam Smarana Vandanam Padasevanam Dasyare Pujana Saki Janatma Nivedana Nirantara Dasa Abhi Lashare. I took a little liberty there, because that is my ash. That is my desire. Yes, I want to be engaged in these 9 processes, at least 1, 2, constantly. That's why I do this class and other classes. Because while I'm doing this class, I am transcendental. Yes, and so are you, if you're absorbed, if you're paying close attention. Sagunan samati yaitan. You have transcended, and Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. You are elevated to the spiritual Brahman platform. I love this verse. Please memorize this verse and the meaning of each word. Final verse of the chapter. Look, Shrilesh, we finished the chapter. You should be very happy with me. Now this next verse is also very important. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyasyasya cha shasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya ekantikasya cha. I will now explain why this verse is important. Because, let me do the translation. Now Krishna is speaking, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Right there. This is another verse which proves that Krishna is the last word in the absolute truth. Because I'd like to make a joke sometimes. Many people are spiritually dyslexic. Dyslexic means you confuse. You put first things last and last things first. So there are many people, many Hindus, who believe that Krishna comes from the impersonal Brahman. But here it is very clear. Krishna says, no, the Brahman comes from me, not vice versa. So Krishna is not coming from the Brahman, the Brahmajyoti. No, the Brahmajyoti, the impersonal Brahman, is Krishna's effulgence. It's coming from his body. This is very important concept. This Brahman is immortal. This Brahman is imperishable and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Yes, it's not material. Material happiness is a cloud-like form of this Brahman or spiritual happiness. The real happiness is this Brahman platform, where you are above the modes of nature. If you enjoy on the material platform, even if it's in the mode of goodness, you're still on the material plane. And what does that mean? Your happiness is still limited and temporary. Yes, we learned in this chapter that the mode of goodness is the best. Mode of passion is next best, and the mode of ignorance is the worst. There's another verse in the Bhagavatam. One should detest the mode of ignorance. One should be indifferent to the mode of passion, and one should be inclined to the mode of goodness. Because to reach the transcendental stage, you have to be at least situated in the mode of goodness. You cannot go to the transcendental stage from the mode of passion and ignorance. It's virtually impossible. You have to at least rise to this mode of goodness in order to reach this transcendental stage. So and we will hear this in chapter 18. There is happiness in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. But in either case, they're limited and temporary. But this Brahman, or spiritual happiness, look, it's immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. That is the actual goal. And it is achieved by, again, that previous verse. I'm going to highlight it again. You should memorize this verse. Mang chayobi abhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. I will hammer that line 1,000,000 times. Bhakti yogena, bhakti yogena, bhakti yogena, bhakti yogena. Engage in devotional service and become Sagunan Samatit Yaitan, transcendental. There is no other way. And then you, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, become elevated to the Brahman platform. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Now, prayers of protection. And if you have a question, please write your question in the chat box. If there are no questions in the chat box, I will assume there are no questions for this session. So please type your questions in the chat box. But now we need prayers of protection. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklada Klada Dayane Hiranya Kashipur Vaksha Shila Tankana Kalaye Ito Nasringa Parato Nasringa Yato Yato Yamita to Nrsimha. Bahi Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimho. Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye. Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tan Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. So I am praying to Lord Nrsimha that all of you are protected from disease, from evil. I want Lord Nrsimha to protect all my Cologne Bhagavad Gita students. You can thank me later. Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajakacarya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Brindi Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yamuna Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Brindi Ki Jai. All glories to the Cologne students of my Bhagavad Gita class. All glories to my Cologne students. All glories to my Cologne students. May Krishna bless you, protect you, and maintain you.